welcome to Conversations with a Volunteer Child Advocate. My name is Sandra Prieto. I am a volunteer recruiter here for Seminole County Guardian Ad Litem. And today we're going to be speaking with Michelle Brightman. Thank you, Michelle, for being with us.
Thank you.
We are just going to have a short conversation. We're going to ask some questions about your experience as far as being with the Guardian Ad Litem, and hopefully we can encourage other individuals to volunteer with the program. I just want to start off by asking, how long have you been with the program, Michelle?
I think it has now been about 6 years, 6 or 7 years, I think.
Oh, okay. And how did you learn about the program?
I had been working full-time for my church from home, and that transitioned to a very part-time thing. I had been homeschooling my daughter as well, but then she went off to regular school, and I was looking for someplace else to pour my time. And a friend of mine had heard of the program and recommended it to me. I was looking for something that I could do where I would be able to really affect people's lives and see that happen, rather than feeling like you're investing in something that maybe somewhere down the road there'll be good that comes of it. I wanted to do something where I would be able to see the effects of what I was doing.
Oh, okay. And would you say that you feel that you're seeing that being with the
Absolutely.
program?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what does the day in the life of a volunteer child advocate look like? If you had to give someone a description on a day-to-day, what does that look like?
Well, I think the beauty of this type of volunteer position is that there's so much flexibility. So if for me now, it's very different. When I first became a guardian ad litem, I only had that small part-time job for my church. Now I work full-time as a teacher and still part-time for my church. So my volunteer time is extremely limited. So what my day looks like now is very different than what it looked like when I first started. That's the beauty. Right now I'm only carrying one case. It's a case that had actually closed with a child, and then the mother had another child. So I got I got a new case. But I am very familiar with all the parties, and I've known them now for 2.5, 3 years. So the checking in with them, visiting, getting medical records, all of those kinds of things are an easier and more streamlined process now, because I've known them for a long time. When I first became a volunteer and was taking cases, it looked a little bit different, but the day can still be arranged however works best for a person's schedule. If you have a full-time 9-to-5 job, you can still do this by scheduling all of your visits and things on the evenings or the weekends. And it doesn't take time every single day. Just depends on the individual case, how many cases you've decided to take, and how difficult they are.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because we do find that that's one of the challenges that people ultimately face when they come into the Guardian Ad Litem program. As you have seen, this is unlike anything else that you volunteer for. This is a completely different volunteer work, obviously. And the time commitment is extensive, but to hear somebody such as yourself, you're very involved in your church still, you're still working full time, and yet you find time to do this. So I certainly commend you for, just having the passion and the dedication to our children. It is amazing to see. It is challenging with a full-time job, nonetheless, with everything else that you do, but it's amazing that you find time to do it. And I am glad that you brought that up and encourage other individuals, because we do see that that's what people struggle with. You talk about, I have a job, how am I gonna, work around this? And
Right.
like you mentioned, we try to be very flexible to individuals and work around their schedule. So speaking of flexibility, what would you say a day looks like when you have to go to court? Do you find that to be challenging?
It's very challenging now with my job. It's very difficult for me to get time off. Um, I don't have that many vacation days or anything like that. And it's not the type of job where I can really just get someone to cover, or I can work through my lunch and take a couple hours in the morning. It's not that type of job. So it's much more challenging now. Anytime I've met someone that was interested in volunteering that had that kind of full-time job with no real flexibility during the day, there's the great thing is there's still ways that they can volunteer by taking cases that don't have to go to court, or doing other things to still help the program without having to have that kind of flexibility. When I was carrying cases and had the ability to go to court whenever needed, it's a fun part of the process. It's for people, I think, that volunteer at the Guardian Ad Litem program, that's part of the excitement of it, because you know that you're doing something that has a legal implication, something that is going to really affect the lives of those that you are working with. But it can be challenging, especially because the schedule of the court does not always fit in with our personal schedules the way we would like. So I've spent plenty of days waiting and waiting and waiting to be seen. But for the people that have that kind of flexibility, it's not a huge hassle.
Okay. And how do you currently manage that, not being able to come to court as, you know, as often as you used to before? Is that something that you work with your CAM on, or?
Yes, she attends for me when I'm not able to attend. I have managed to be there several times, and then now that the summer is approaching, anytime summer is, or any break, I could always attend then. Just during the school year, that is challenging.
Okay, and continuing on with the challenging, I just like to set some expectations and just kind of point out some of the things that people might come across if they consider becoming a guardian. What would you say is the most challenging part of being a volunteer guardian ad litem?
I would say the most challenging part is the frustration of not having not having complete control. You're still just one piece of all of this, and I think that a lot of guardians feel very personal about the work that they're doing, because you are visiting this child at least once a month. Most guardians visit far more than once a month, so you really are getting to know this child and forming an opinion based on all of your research as to what the best course of action is for this child. And when all the parties don't agree, or the judge sees it differently than you do, or rules differently on something, that can be frustrating. The red tape that is still an unfortunate necessity can be frustrating, but it does not outweigh the good that you are able to do, and knowing that if you weren't there speaking for the child, that it could have gone even worse than however you were whatever the unhappy results were that you got.
Right. Yeah. And we're definitely glad to have volunteers such as yourself that understand that there's obviously certain things about the legal system overall that we have our own opinions about, and there's only so much that we can do. But as volunteers and as, you know, Guardian ad Litem, as the program, we do what we can with what we have.
I would say also, to add to that, that I have also learned a lot and gained a much broader perspective because of some of those disagreements. It's easy to have this tunnel vision because this is all I know. This is what my experience has been. But then to really listen to why other people have a different opinion has helped to broaden my perspective. And even if I end up not agreeing, at least I can understand it much better.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things you learn about yourself, some of the things that you can kind of, you know, work with, and some of the other things that you're still continuing to learn about yourself personally, and things that you need to work on. So it's interesting that you come to places such as this and you learn all sorts of new things.
Right.
On the flip side of the challenging part, what would you say is the most rewarding on a positive side?
The relationship with the kids, building relationships with the kids that last well beyond the program, knowing that you were there at a pivotal moment that changed the direction or course of their life, all of that is the best part.
Yeah, you can totally see that you are making a difference in these kids' life. And
Mhm.
like you mentioned earlier, if you were not that person, you know, who will they have if you're
Right.
not there for them? So thank you for making that point and sharing that. What would you say to someone that is considering volunteering, that's still maybe on the fence about, you know, coming on board with a program?
I think I would try to help them figure out exactly what their hesitations are, because for some people it really isn't the right opportunity or the right time. And uh, the the kids in the kids that we come in contact with have so much instability in their lives that we really don't want to uh, give them a volunteer guardian ad litem who is just trying it out and going to find out that it's really not for them, because then that's just one more person who came into their life and then left, and now they have to get another one. So I would try to help them figure out exactly what their hesitations are, to see if there are hesitations that could be answered first, and answered sufficiently for them to feel more confident going forward. You're never going to feel fully prepared or fully qualified to do this, because I think we all come into it with this misconception that we have to understand a lot about the law, or understand a lot about foster care, or understand a lot, uh, and that's what we have the CAMs for. They understand all of that far better. As a volunteer, I have to be good at building a relationship with a child I don't know, doing that research to see what's going on in that child's life, having the awareness to be able to sense when something is a little bit off, and the flexibility and commitment to be able to stick with it for a while.
Thank you. And you bring up a good point as far as, you know, the commitment and understanding exactly why you would consider doing something like this. And if this is really the right fit, because as you
Right.
mentioned, this is not a good fit for everyone. And we understand that. So the process that we go through from start to finish, we try to set the expectations early on. So everyone understands. Obviously, we want this to be rewarding for everyone involved. And our best, you know, what we are, our mission is the best interest of the child. So we certainly don't want people coming in and out of the program. So we try to do a thorough job at making sure everybody understands, you know, what they're signing up for essentially. So I appreciate you bringing that up. And any other final thoughts for someone that might be considering this, apart from what you just shared? You've shared a lot, and I appreciate it.
Uh, I think it's uh, I think it's an amazing, unique volunteer opportunity. My husband, when we have a daughter who's now 16, but when she was younger, about 7, I think, he would take her on occasion to the like Orlando Rescue Mission to help feed the homeless and things like that. They've also volunteered at other places, and it's wonderful. They need people there too, and that is a great experience. But it's a very different kind of experience. If like my husband said, there would be occasion when they get there and there's really nothing for them to do because they have so many people willing to do that, because the commitment level is low. You show up for a couple hours and then you're gone. If you don't show up, it's no big deal. They'll still eat. You know what I mean? So the
Right.
commitment level is low, and it's a very different commitment level here, but that's what also makes it so much more rewarding.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Michelle, for spending some time with us today. And thank you, everyone, for watching.